class. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jata Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitangstam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vidangscha Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam. Haribol. Okay, continuing to read Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, the 4th chapter of the first volume of the Adi Leela. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Jai Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Ki Jai. Srila Om Vishnupad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Okay, reading again, I think we already read these verses, but text number 188. Tansabara nahi nija shuka anurodha tatapi badaye shuka padila virodha. The gopis have no inclination for their own enjoyment, and yet their joy increases. That is indeed a contradiction. And so we did read these verses, but we'll go ahead. E virodera akamatra deki samadana gopikara shuka krishna suke paryavasana. For this contradiction, I see only one solution. The joy of the gopis lies in the joy of their beloved Krishna. Gopika darshane krishnera badhe prapulata se madhurya padeja nahika samatha. When Lord Krishna sees the gopis, his joy increases, and his unparalleled sweetness increases also. As the joy of the Lord increases, seeing their sweetness, his joy increases, and his sweetness increases. Amara darshane Krishna paila eta shuka, e suke gopira prapula angamukha. The gopis think, Krishna has obtained so much pleasure by seeing me. That thought increases the fullness and beauty of their faces and bodies. Gopi shobha deki Krishnera shobha bade jata. Krishna shobha deki gopira shobha bade tata. The beauty of Lord Krishna increases at the sight of the beauty of the gopis. And the more the gopis see Krishna's beauty, the more their beauty increases. So this is a very different type of beauty. Hey mata paraspara pade huddha huddhi paraspara bade keha mukha nahi muddhi. In this way, a competition takes place between them in which no one acknowledges defeat. Kintu Krishnera sukha hai gopi rupa gune tara suke sukha vriddhi haye gopi gane. Krishna, however, derives pleasure from the beauty and good qualities of the gopis. And when the gopis see his pleasure, the joy of the gopis increases. So this is kind of a very essential verse. Krishna, however, derives pleasure from the beauty and good qualities of the gopis. And when the gopis see his pleasure, the joy of the gopis increases. Ataeva se sukha Krishna sukha pose, ehetu gopi preme nahi kamadoshe. Therefore we find that the joy of the gopis nourishes the joy of the Lord Krishna, of Lord Krishna. For that reason, the fault of lust is not present in their love. By looking at the beautiful gopis, Krishna becomes enlivened, and this enlivens the gopis, whose youthful faces and bodies blossom. This competition of increasing beauty between the gopis and Krishna, which is without limitation, is so delicate that sometimes mundane moralists mistake these dealings to be purely amorous. But these affairs are not at all mundane, because the gopis' intense desire to satisfy Krishna surcharges the entire scene with pure love of Godhead, with not a spot of sexual indulgence. Upecha pati sundarit tati bir abhyar chitam smitang kura karambitai natad apanga bangi satai stana stavaka sancharan nayana chanchari kanchalam braje bijai nam bhaje vipina deshita keshavam. I worship Lord Keshava. Coming back from the forest of Braja, he is worshipped by the gopis, who mount the roofs of their palaces and meet him on the path with 100 manners of dancing glances and gentle smiles. The corners of his eyes wander like large black bees around the gopis' breasts. This statement appears in the Keshavastaka of the Stavamala composed by Srila Rupa Goswami. And just like the faces of the gopis are fully transcendental, that means no mundane, nothing mundane at all, only the pure love of God in a pitch that we cannot understand. So their whole body is like that, fully nothing mundane at all. Ara eka gopi premera svabhavika chinna jay prakare haya prema kama gandahina. There is another natural symptom of the gopis' love that shows it to be without a trace of lust. Gopi prema kare Krishna madhuryera pushti madhurye badaya prema hanya mahatushti. The love of the gopis nourishes the sweetness of Lord Krishna. That sweetness in turn increases their love, for they are greatly satisfied. Priti vishayanande tadashrayananda tahanahi nija shuka vanchara sambandha. The happiness of the abode of love is in the happiness of the object of that love. This is not a relationship of desire for personal gratification. Nirupadi prema jaha tara airiti priti bishaya shuke ashrayera priti nija prema nanda Krishna sevananda badhe se anandera pratibhaktera haya mahakrore. Whenever there is unselfish love, that is its style. So what is that style referring to? That there is no desire for one's own personal, nothing. It is only the joy comes in the satisfaction of the object of love, 100%. This is something that's very difficult for someone in mundane life to really conceive of. It may seem like love or devotion, but there is a great amount of my own feeling, of my own gain in that. It's very difficult for a mundane person to conceive of this. So those who generally want to become free from the material plane without devotion it just adds up to be nothing. Because the positive giving, that they're not interested in. They don't want to be slaves, seeking no payment at all, nothing. They're not interested in that plane, so they just want to get out of mundane lust, which ends up in so much misery. But they don't want to go to the positive plane where that mundane lust is completely absent, but there is 100% giving to the Lord, 100% slavery, and always wanting to increase that mood of giving to the extreme extent because of the just wishing to give more and more. That's Srila Guru Maharaj is explaining that. It doesn't have even the slightest taint of a thought of what it is that is for me in this transaction. And that kind of joy is of another type altogether. It's completely different. It's real. It's actual devotion. Whenever there is unselfish love, that is its style. The reservoir of love derives pleasure when the lovable object is pleased. When the pleasure of love interferes with the service of Lord Krishna, the devotee becomes angry towards such ecstasy. As mentioned above, the gopis are the predominated lovers, and Sri Krishna is the predominator, the beloved. The love of the predominated nourishes the love of the predominator. The gopis had no desire for selfish enjoyment, so we can really worship this plane. It is so worshipable, so pure. It is something to bow down to again and again. Their feeling of happiness was indirect, for it was dependent on the pleasure of Krishna. Causeless love of Godhead is always so. Such pure love is possible only when the predominated is made happy by the happiness of the predominator. Such unadulterated love is exemplified when the lover deprecates her happiness in service that hinders her from discharging it. Being overwhelmed with happiness, she's not able to perform her desired service properly. So she's like, what? Get away. We hear examples of this. Angastambarambam utangayantam premanandam daruko nabhyanandat kangsarater vijane jena shakshat akshodiyan antarayo vyadayi. Sri Daruka did not relish his ecstatic feelings of love. Oh, this is the example I was thinking of. It's found other places also. Sri Daruka did not relish his ecstatic feelings of love. So Daruka was fanning the Lord. But he was so joyful to see the joy of the Lord in being fanned that he was trembling. And that trembling interfered with his fanning. So he thought, stop it. I don't want these ecstatic feelings. Sri Daruka did not relish his ecstatic feelings of love, for they caused his limbs to become stunned and thus obstructed his service of fanning Lord Krishna. This verse is from the Bhagavatamrita Sindhu. Any question? Govinda prekshanakshepi bhashpa pura bhivarshinam ucheranindaranandam aravinda vilochana. The lotus-eyed Radharani powerfully condemned the ecstatic love that caused a flow of tears that hindered her sight of Govinda. This verse is also from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Ada Shuddha Bhakta Krishna Prema Seva Bine Swasukarta salokyadi nakare grahane. Furthermore, pure devotees never forsake the loving service of Lord Krishna to aspire for their own personal pleasure through the 5 kinds of liberation. A pure devotee of Krishna who loves him exclusively will flatly refuse to accept any sort of liberation, beginning from merging with the body of the Lord and extending to other varieties of liberation, such as equality of form, which is called sarupya, opulence, samipya, or abode, salokya, and the opulence of living near the Lord, which I forget the name of that one. But these are the 5 kinds of liberation which are found in Vaikuntha. So the inhabitants of Vaikuntha look similar to the Lord. And they have these wonderful opulent forms of liberation. They're still in pure devotion. But the inhabitants of Vrindavan, they do not like that. They don't want those kinds of liberation. They don't aspire for anything like that. As Bhaktivinoda, because it is that type of higher devotion that Bhaktivinoda Thakur expresses. So I don't care if I become an insect, but I have only one prayer, that will be in the home of a devotee. Madguna Shuti Matrena Mai Sarva Gunashaye Manogatir Vichina Jata Gangambaso Budho. Just as the celestial waters of the Ganges flow unobstructed to the ocean, so when my devotees simply hear of me, their minds come to me who reside in the hearts of all. Unobstructed, immediately. Lakshanam bhakti yogasya nirgunasya hyadahridam ahoitukya vyavahita cha bhakti purushottame. These are the characteristics of transcendental loving service to Purushottam, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is causeless and it cannot be obstructed in any way. Ahoitukiya pratihata. It is causeless and it cannot be obstructed. Everything will increase that devotion. And it is causeless, meaning it doesn't have any mundane cause. It is all on the transcendental plane. Salokya shasti sarupya samipyaika vamapyuta diyamanam nagrahnanti binamat sevanam janaha. My devotees do not accept salokya, sharsti, sarupya, samipya, or oneness with me, even if I offer these liberations in preference to serving me. So they do not accept a salokya, meaning living in the same plane or in the same loka. Sharsti, meaning the same opulence. Sarupya, the same form. Samipya, having the direct association or oneness with me. Even if I offer these liberations, if they interfere with serving me. They don't aspire for these at all. And that deepest and more deepest desire for serving will take one farther and farther away from these conceptions, which are found very abundantly in Vaikuntha. Any question? Matsevaya patitam te salokyadi chatushtayam nechanti sevaya purna kutonya kala viplutam. My devotees, having fulfilled their desires by serving me, do not accept the 4 kinds of salvation that are easily earned by such service. Why then would they accept any pleasures that are lost in the course of time, like the heavenly planets? Vaikuntha and heaven are not anywhere near the same thing. Vaikuntha is a plane of pure devotion. But when he's saying my devotees are my supreme devotees, they don't want even those things. If they're not even thinking, well, maybe I'll get this, maybe I'll get that. Never. Those great devotees who we are worshiping and who have come as our gurus, those persons, they don't aspire for anything like that. So why would they aspire for anything material, like heaven or mystical powers, which are all going to be lost in the course of time? Kama gandahina svabhavika gopi prema nirmala ujjala shuddha jaina dagda prahema. The natural love of the gopis is devoid of any trace of lust. It is faultless, bright and pure, like melted gold, molten gold. Krishnera sahaya guru bandava prayasi gopika hayena priya shishya shakidasi. The gopis are the helpers, teachers, friends, wives, dear disciples, confidants, and serving mates of Lord Krishna. So they have, all the rasas are there. Sakya, Dasya, and then all these kinds of feelings of Madhura in wifehood, disciples, confidants, and serving mates. All of the rasas, all the different kinds of relationships are contained, plus more, much more. Sahaya Guru Vasisya Pujisya Bandhavashriya Satyam Vadamite Partha Gopya Kim Me Bhavantina. O Partha, I speak to you the truth. The gopis are my helpers, my teachers, disciples, servants, friends, and consorts. I do not know what they are not to me. This was spoken by Lord Krishna in the Gopi Premamrita. Gopika janena krishnera manera vanchita prema seva paripate ishtasam mihita. The gopis know Krishna's desires, and they know how to render perfect devotional service for his enjoyment. They perform their service expertly for the satisfaction of their beloved. The gopis know Krishna's desires because Krishna is revealing so many things in their hearts. And they know how to render perfect loving service for his enjoyment. They perform their service expertly for the satisfaction of their beloved. So here's it. So Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj is giving all these verses in the Chaitanya Charitamrita in this 4th chapter in order to give us some kind of foundation of understanding of what attributes were so beautiful for Krishna and why he wanted to come as Mahaprabhu. So That is the third one, the happy. He wanted to know, feel, experience the happiness that they feel when they see the sweetness of his love. That was the third reason. And who can know that? To that degree, only the Braja Gopis. Jai Shri Shri Upadeshamrita Ki Jai, Srila Rupa Goswami Ki Jai, Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Ki Jai, Srila Om Vishnupad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki
Jai.
Haribol. Jai 3. We are now reading Sri Sri Upadeshamrita by Srila Rupa Goswami with the commentary that we're reading through this reading of the Upadeshamrita. And of course, eternally, we hope, we'll always come to the holy words sitting at the holy feet of our Divine Master, Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj, and of course Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj, and Srila Prabhupada A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Okay, page 328 from the commentary by Srila Guru Maharaj on the 11th verse. Krishnasyo chai pranaya vasiti prayasibhyo pirata kundam chasya munibir abitas tadrigeva vyadai ya preshta apyalam asulabam kim punar bhakti bhajang ta premadang sakridapi sharasnatura vishkaroti. Sri Radha is the highest object of Sri Krishna's love above all his other lovers, and in all respects her lake has also been established as such by the sages. This lake bestows upon those who bathe within it only once prema that is extremely difficult even for those who are dear to Krishna to attain. Jai Shri Guru Gaur Chandraju Ki Jai. Jai Shri Guru Ki Jai. Let alone for practitioners of bhakti. We're trying to give attentive listening about this. Try to listen attentively, but to really know this thing. This is not something we can attain. This is something that may descend. That is the hope of every Gaudiya Vaishnava. But what is that is descending? What is pure love? What is actual devotion? These are things that we are trying to give attention about, but they're not something that, it's very easily conceived, what to speak of attained. But we are going to do this because it is the order of our Guru, of our Sri Guru Parapadma sitting there, and we are hearing about these things. They want us to understand something about what devotion is. And devotion can only be found in relation to the Lord. It's not found leaving the Lord out. That's not devotion. That's illusion. Jayatang surato pango mama manda matergati matsarva svapadang boja rata madana mohana. Glory to the most merciful Sri Sri Radha Madan Mohan. Although I am lame and wicked, they are my soul shelter, and their lotus feet are everything to me. When Radha and Madan Mohan are alone, and none of the Sakhis are present, the Manjaris are allowed to enter into such private meeting. So the Sakhis cannot expect to have a taste of that sort of rasa that the Manjaris can come in touch with. So to serve through the manjaris will be very, very profitable. We've read this already. But here, that quality of rasa is never found anywhere else. It is present only in the close, very private, intimate pastimes. So, Rupanuga. We are to become Rupanuga, followers of Sri Rupa. Even Sanatana Goswami, who is the guru of Rupa Goswami from a formal consideration, has also written somewhere that he wants to appreciate Rupanuga Vichar, the conception of Rupa, of Sri Rupa. Our Guru Maharaj was always Rupanuga, Rupanuga, Rupanuga. He was generally Raganuga, and then Rupanuga in particular. That is our parichai. That is our identity, our nature. In his Rupanuga Bhajana Darpana, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Rupanuga Haite Seidai. He runs to get admission under the administration of Rupa Goswami. Who runs? Those who have such an aspiration, who seek such prospect, run to become enlisted in the group of Rupa. So that aspiration has been given to us. It's being given to us. But first of all, purification must happen. And that conception is there. We are hearing that. But we know that our job is where we are. What Krishna is bringing before us, that this is our job. This is what we must notice and perform. By establishing the Rupanuga Sampradaya, Mahaprabhu came only to prove, to show to the world the highest dignity of Radharani. Jadi Gora Nahota Tabiki Haita Kamane Daritamde Vashugosh, one of the 8 Sakis connected with Radharani in Gora Lila, says if Gauranga did not come, then how could we live at all? Radhara Mahima Prema Rasa Sima Jagate Janatake, who would have informed us about the divine love and the elevated position of that Sri Radhika holds? Quote, what we possess in our bosom is so valuable, and Gauranga has become to establish in the market that our heart's wealth is the highest type of wealth. Our heart's wealth. If he did not come to express this to the world, then how could we live? Our lives would have been impossible. If the greatness of our mistress would not have been shown and set as the highest standard, then how could we bear to live? This is an amazing commentary by Guru Maharaj. In one talk, Srila Guru Maharaj is saying about this song, Jadi Gaura Nahotar Kavi Tabe Ki Haita Kamane Daritamde. He's saying this shows that Bashu Ghosh is already a Parshad. He's already an eternal Parshad of the Lord. He's an eternal servitor, associate of the Lord. It shows that if Mahaprabhu had not come to show the dignity, the great glories of Srimati Radharani, our mistress, then how could we live? How could we go on existing? Very wonderful thing to hear. Nityananda Prabhu wanted to distribute Sri Gauranga. I'm sorry. Nityananda Prabhu wanted to distribute Sri Gauranga to one and all. Approaching every door in person, he would say, take the name of Gauranga. Take the name of Gauranga and I shall be your slave forever. Once take the name of Gauranga. Making his appeal in this way, he would cry and roll at the door of any person whom he approached. When Mahaprabhu instructed Nityananda, go and chant the glories of Krishna. But Nityananda chanted the glories of Gauranga, because that is the entrance to the glories of Krishna. When Mahaprabhu took his permanent seat in Jagannath Puri, he sent Nityananda to Bengal. I give you Gauda Desh. Without you, no one will be able to help them. Because the people of Bengal, Srila Guru Maharaj explains this, the people of Bengal were very rough, and Nityananda could manage them. But the people of the Vrindavan area, they were more gentle and scholarly. So the 6 Goswamis were there, presenting so many points. But the Bengal persons were a little rough. Nityananda could handle the ruffians. I give you Gauda Desh. Without you, no one will be able to help them. So Nityananda, I offer you that zone. Go to Bengal and give the fulfillment of life to them. Nityananda took this charge. And here we are under his guidance. Here meaning at the Mat in Bengal. Nityananda Prabhu is the leader in preaching about Gauranga. And one who gets the grace of Gauranga automatically comes in connection, with Radha Govinda's Leela in Vrindavan. It is safer for us to try to get the mercy of Mahaprabhu than to approach Vrindavan and Radharani directly. That is too high. But if we approach through Gauranga Dev, then very easily and safely we can reach that stage. So our direct approach is to Nityananda and Gauranga. Through Nitai we approach Gauranga, and to have the grace of Gauranga is to have the grace of both Radha and Krishna. That has been recommended to us by the stalwarts of the Sampradaya. Yata yata gaura padara vinde vindeta bhaktim krita punya rasi tata tatot sarpati hridyakasmad radha padam bhoja sudamburasi. Give your 100% attention to understand Gauranga, and you will find that automatically, unknowingly, you are in Vrindavan and you have become a member of the camp of Radharani. Jai. Srila Bhakti Vakak Sri Radhe Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. So this next part is the discourse given at Sri Radhakund, and it's become very famous. This talk by Srila Bhagavan Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has become very famous because at Radhakund he was discussing Upadeshamrita and not the high pastimes at all. None of the we're not discussing high pastimes. We are trying to become somewhat familiar of the plane of actual devotion and what the divine form of the devotee is. It is only an expression of his devotion and his happiness in the happiness of the Lord. So these things we're trying to become get some familiarity with in our hearts. So even though it feels very high and to us, but we're not discussing actual pastimes between the Lord and the devotees so much. So, but sometimes people will go to Radhakund and discuss all sorts of very, pastimes that we're not really supposed to even come in touch with. They're there because the outpouring of these things has come to the world through Vidyapati and Jayadev Goswami, but we're not supposed to read Chandidas, but we're not supposed to read these books, not at all. Our hearts are not, this requires some innocence, a high degree of innocence. A thief, when he hears about gold, all he thinks about is how he's going to steal it. So you don't show gold to a thief. So we're not in the right mind. So these things, there's nothing wrong with gold, but there's something wrong with the thief. So we can read this page. This is now page 331. All right. By Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. The following is a translation of the lecture given by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur on Krishna Dvitiya, Sunday, 16th of October, 1932, on the bank of Sri Radha Kunda during the Gaudiya Mat's Braja Mandala Parikrama, on the afternoon of the party's third day at Sri Radha Kund and eighth day of Parikrama. We are present today between Sri Radha Kunda, Jaya Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jaya. We are present today between Sri Radha Kunda and Sri Shyama Kunda. We are the Gaudiya Sri Rupanuga Sampradaya. We do not speak of anything except service under the guidance of Sri Rupa. Before we discuss everything that Sri Rupa's Upadeshamrita has said to pull us out of the mud of contamination, that we attribute to the name of so-called followers of Sri Rupa's associates. Okay, I'm going to have to redo that sentence a little bit. Before we discuss everything that Sri Rupa's Upadeshamrita has said that is meant to pull us out of the mud of contamination, please hear the glories of Sri Rupa within this song by Sri Rupa's follower, Srila Narottam Das Thakur. So, I think that here, Srila Saraswati, it seems quite clear that Srila Saraswati Thakur is referring to some sort of misconception that the so-called followers of Srila Rupa Goswami are displaying. So in other words, those who come to Sri Radha Kund to discuss very high topics that are really forbidden for anyone contaminated by material illusion. So he's saying, so he's referring to the so-called followers of Sri Rupa's associates. I'm not sure about that, but it seems to be the case. That he's saying we will discuss Upadeshamrita properly. Saying this, Srila Prabhupada requested Pandit Sripad Haripad Vidyaratna to chant Sri Narottam Das Thakur's songs. Sri Rupa Manjari Pada, say more, Sampada, say more, Bhajana Pujan, say more Pranadan, say more Abharan, say more Jiva Nera Jivan. The lotus feet of Sri Rupa Manjari are my fortune. They are my service and they are my worship. They are the wealth of my heart. They are my ornaments and they are the life of my life. Say more rasa nidhi, say more vancha siddhi, say more vedera dharma. Say vrata, say tap, say more mantra jap, say more dharma karam. They are my ocean of nectar. They are the fulfillment of my desires. They are my scriptural duty, my rites, my austerities, my chanting of mantras, and my acts of virtue. Whatever it is that I'm doing, that is supposed to be done, they're all for her. Anukula habe vide se pade haibe siddhi, nirakiba e dui nayane, se rupa maduri rasi, prana kuvalaya shashi, prapulita habe nishi dine. When providence favors me, I will reach those feet and see them with my 2 eyes. Sri Rupa's abounding beauty is the moon of the lotus of my heart, which will then bloom night and day. Tuya adashana ahi garale jarala dehi chiradina tapita jivan haha prabhu karadai deha more padachai narotama laila sharan. Afflicted by the poison of the snake of separation from you, my body wastes away and my heart constantly burns. Alas, O Master, be merciful. Please give me the shade of your feet. Narottam Das has taken shelter of you. Shuniyachi Shadu Mukhe Bale Sarvajana, Shri Rupa Kripaye Mile Jugala Charana. I have heard from the mouth of the sadhus, and everyone says that by the mercy of Sri Rupa, one attains the feet of the divine couple. Haha Prabhu Sanatan Gora Parivar, Shabe Mili Vancha Purna Karaha Amar. O Prabhu Sanatan, O associates of Sri Gora, may you all unitedly fulfill my desires. Shri Rupera Kripa Jena Ama Pratihoy, Se Pada Ashraya Jar, Se Mahashai. May Sri Rupa be merciful to me. Those who have taken shelter of Sri Rupa's feet are great souls. Prabhu Lokanatha Kabishangilanya Yabjabe, Shri Rupera Pada Padme More Samarpibe. When will my master, Sri Lokanath, take me with him and offer me to the lotus feet of Sri Rupa? Hena ki haibe mora narma shakigane, anugata narotame karibe shashane. Will I ever attain this? Will the intimate Sakis ever chastise their follower Narottam? So the Lokanath Das Goswami is the guru of Narottam Das Thakur. And Narottam Das Thakur got it in a dream from that Mahaprabhu told him, you must take shelter. Jai Shri Shri Guru Gaur Chandra Ju, Jai Gira Ju Ki Jai. That you must take shelter of Lokanath Das Goswami and take initiation from him. And now he's praying, when will Lokanath take my hand and give it to the hand of Sri Rupa? So that is the qualification of Lokanath Das Goswami, that he can do that. And that's why Mahaprabhu is saying, you take initiation from Lokanath. Of course, Rupa Goswami is the eternal, Narottam Das Thakur is an eternal Parshad. But at the same time, these things are being shown to us. When the kirtans ended, Srila Prabhupada resumed his discourse. If we are to attain the mercy of Sri Vrishabhanu Nandini, do you know who Vrishabhanu Nandini is? That's Vrishabhanu is the father. Just like Krishna is called Yashoda Nandan, Nandan means son, and Nandini means daughter. So Vrishabhanu Nandini, the daughter of Vrishabhanu, who is Srimati Radharani.
Oh, he's the father of Srimati Radharani.
Yeah. If we are to attain the mercy of Sri Vrishabhanu Nandini, then we have no means other than subservience to Sri Rupa Manjari. Sri Raghunath Das Goswami is the foremost follower of Sri Rupa. Sri Jiva is a follower of Raghunath. The instructions that Sri Rupa Goswami have given are revealed in the hearts of the highest section of devotees, the Paramahansa Vaishnavas. So, if we are to attain the mercy of Vrishabhanu Nandini, then we have no means other than subservience to Srila Rupa Manjari. Sri Raghunath Das Goswami is the foremost follower of Sri Rupa. Sri Jiva is a follower of Raghunath. The instructions that Sri Rupa Goswami have given are revealed in the hearts of the highest section of the devotees, the Paramahansa Vaishnavas. The bank of Sri Radha Kund is not simply a holy place like Jambudweep, Vaikunta, or the district of Mathura. For those who beg for the lotus feet of Sri Radha, there is no other place to take shelter. Sri Radha Kund is their one and only place of shelter, and Sri Upadeshamrita has explained how they are to follow the path to Sri Radha Kunda. And how does that begin? Vacho Vegam, Manasa Krodha Vegam. All these very basic things that we need to battle. Because a semblance of the message of Sri Rupa can be found in the hearts of the Paramahansas in general, the first verse of Sri Upadeshamrita is the same as a verse from the Hansa Gita in the Mahabharata. Vacho Vegam Manasakroda Vegam Jiva Vegam Udaropasta Vegam Etan Veganyo Vishaheta Dhira Sarvam Apimam Vritiving Sasisyat Vakya Vega. So this we can begin with this verse tomorrow. Any questions at all?
No, not yet.
I apologize for a very likely fault of kind of bumpy reading. It's because I feel a little anxiety when we read about the Braja Gopis, because the language, in English especially, or in any language really, is similar to the language describing mundane things. And, you know, these things have to be very, very carefully sorted out. And that is my really strong feeling. And although so many devotees have heard these things many times, but still some new people may come. I mean, new means we're all new, but we've heard these things many times, and we have sorted these things out in some plane of our heart and mind. And we have to try, when we are ever reading these things in a public way, to help in that way, as we have been helped. So, I'm sorry. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Guru Gaurachandra Ji Ki Jai. When we were young, when I was a young person, and going to church, and for one year, my mother asked me, what do you really want for Christmas? And I said, I want a book about saints, Christian saints. So there was a series of little books that you could buy one at a time, or you can buy the whole thing. So she bought the whole thing, a big binder full of these little smaller books, thin books, on the lives of the saints, on the Christian tradition. And I loved reading about that. It gave such a nice feeling of this holiness, holy kind of life, even though I was just a brat myself, of course, and still am, actually, but so I think about that kind of feeling and how that is, in my case, before preliminary, in the path of approaching the Lord. Very, very, and then to think that feeling of something toward something beautiful and high, then that was so preliminary. And then to think in that line of more and more purified and more purified and more purified and coming to the plane of actual devotion in Vaikuntha. Srila Guru Maharaj said that Jesus went to a certain type of position in Vaikuntha, like a certain, not really full zone, but still Vaikuntha. There was definite devotion there. And not motivated devotion. And so going further and going further and further and further in that, then we come to, all these higher planes of Ayodhya, Dwarka, Mathura, then Vrindavan, and all the different rasas of Vrindavan, more and more and more, and more pure, more pure. And that we can remember that is something that makes that initial thing look almost wrong, because it's so pure. Now we're discussing, or not really discussing, we're not really discussing Madhura Ras. We're hearing about Madhura Ras and just discussing what it isn't. But we have to really remember that this is a plane of inconceivable purity of heart. Anyway, it's just something that I feel really pretty strongly about in bringing these things. If we have some responsibility to read these things, or then we want to always worship that as being so high, so exalted, so noble, and just hoping for even the slightest, inconceivably slight acquaintance with such a plane of devotion. We can't think that anything else would be a better object for my life, for our life. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha.
Didi.
Saparikashi Shri Guru Gaurachandra Ju Ki Jai.
Jai.
Shri Giriraj Govardhan Ju Ki Jai.
Jai.
Jayam Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivrajakaacharya Astater Sita Shri Sriman Srila Bhakti Sundar Govindadev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivrajakaacharya Astater Sita Shri Sriman Srila Bhakti Vakak Sri Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Nuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Madhacharya Vrinda Ki Jai. Sannyasi Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Sai Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Saparshad Sriman Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. Saparshad Shri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinatha Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Jai Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai. Chaitanya Saraswat Mission Ki Jai. Kol Kartal Ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Samaveda Vaishnava Mandala Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Every day is a festival in Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai. Srimati Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Bol.
Jai Srimati.
Jai Gurudev Ki Jai. Hari Bol.
We appreciate the presence of the wonderful devotees tonight.
Jai.
Dandavat.
Who are they?
Bhima Krishna Prabhu and Rama Kelly.
Right. Nice. All right.
And